Hello again. I realized in the last video not only did I move a lot, but the microphone has this whooshy noise. I'm going to try to speak loud enough to where that won't bother anybody. Um, so this is a video on basically group dynamics, at least a few things that I've ran into. You may run into, if you're watching this video, you have a genuine interest in the course. So you've probably seen similar. First off, course groups don't like to practice the course. People in general just don't want to practice the course. Even a heavy practitioner, somebody who's following it to the word, has a hard time trying to eat a chocolate donut and then realize that you really shouldn't value the chocolate donut. You want to enjoy it. So anyway, without that specific example, I will go on to a few things that groups like to do. One, they like to get around the course. So this literally happened. This is in, I believe, Everett. Even though the group leader seemed to be practicing, the group, a few members, one member specifically, but this happens with a few different members, they just read, like this, like right after, at least I read, Shabby Toys of Earth. And this was from Gary Renard. But anyway, directly quoted from the course, the Shabby Toys of Earth is about how nothing on earth is valuable compared to what you really have. I'm wiggling again, aren't I? Okay, so this guy goes on and on about this wooden chest and how it was a gift to him by God, which goes against many principles of the course. Granted, for future reference, it doesn't mean he did anything wrong or bad, but they could say wrong logically, but he didn't do anything worth being punished over. Of course, it's all about you're not going to get punished. But anyway, he really went on for 15 minutes, about 10 to 15 minutes, about how he loves to carve this wooden chest, and it was this great gift given to him, and I believe it's related to practicing the course. And the course is all about how nothing is here and you shouldn't value anything. It goes on to the body and all the body's toys, the things that we like to get. So it reminds me of the Marianne Williamson book, which talks about how age means your body becomes even more special over time. It makes absolutely no sense. It's not even the Course in Miracles. But anyway, this wasn't the first time I ran into stuff like this. So they're there to socialize. They're not there to try to practice the course. The course, if you haven't noticed already, is something you practice 24 hours a day. And the workbook gives you literally easier exercises than trying second for second, but you'll eventually get to where it becomes automatic and it's not hard. So, applying New Age principles to the course is a very, very wrong, logically, methodology. New Age principles like to say that there's this thing called synergy, where if lots of people gathered in a room, it increases the energy. And I believe there is some science to people being more happy when there's more people or hyper. But they really believe the metaphysical effect of something can increase. And I believe there's studies with doing meditations in like Washington, D.C., and then the crime rate drops for the next week for 25%. And I'm not going to discredit a study. I'm sorry I don't have the citation right now. But I do have a little bit of experience with basically, I'll just say it out loud, faith healing. And it's not a synergistic, or how do you say it? Synergetic effect. It is when one person can sit down and realize to enough of a degree, silence, I'll just call it silence for now, such that that can go through them and do its work. It's like how Jesus said, I don't do the works, he works through me. It's not directly quoted, of course, but I will try when I can remember. So you get that effect, and people will heal. But if you have 10 people that all don't know what they're doing, getting really hyper in a room, I don't believe that it's going to do anything. In fact, very often everybody feels happy, but that's really all that happens. So yeah, you can't apply the synergistic healing effect to basically a methodology that teaches nothing's there. How could you add energy to energy when nothing is there? You can't multiply 0 by 0 and get anything above 0. So, and something funny when this particular incident came up in my group is a lot of people were upset, and they were happy that the course realized that they could do things not super correct, but they would never be punished. And it's funny because I never even think of that. I believe you have a science in front of you, and if you use it properly, you'll get, like electricity. You flip a light switch, you close a current that causes a flow of electricity. If you don't flip the switch, you won't create the current. There's no sense of punishment and reward. So there is a New Age idea that nothing is wrong. Well, if nothing is wrong, then why does enlightenment take forever? Specific sciences, why do people go study for years under gurus, find someone that knows how to do it? How come nobody enlightened is just sitting next to somebody else that's enlightened? The only case that I know of was a communication from Buddha to, I believe, Ananda. He was sitting there twirling Buddha was twirling a flower, I believe, and then Ananda received enlightenment. But that wasn't just effortless. That took years of studying, and there was some communication going on behind, behind the mind. So very similar to darshan. Darshan is when you kind of receive knowledge just by looking into a master's eyes, and I've done it once, and it was awesome. The feeling lasts for a while too. But the guru doesn't have to be there for that to happen. But that's another story. I'm saying, okay, so I'll just admit there is a story about a guy who studied archery. This is, I don't know names. So whether it's a yoga story, and basically this guy's like, I'm going to learn from this guy even though he's not going to teach me. So he built a statue and basically communicated through the mind or something, just listened, say the inner voice. This guy learned archery, awesome. When he finally met the guy in real life, he's like, you taught me. He's like, I didn't teach you anything. And showed him his skills, and what happened, and eventually, I believe they talked to a guru who would not seek some advice on a situation like that. So, anyway, the time, distance not mattering, but the science and the principle still matter. You cannot just magically get skills sitting next to a mathematician. You might want to, ask him how he does something, or ask her how she solves a problem. Honestly, ask how they think about things. This New Age principle thing, you're going to run into perhaps stuff you've studied before, and it won't make sense. I'm basically giving verification that, it doesn't make sense, don't do it, don't practice it, because chances are you've studied the course, you've done forgiveness, and you've seen it work. This is what gives you confidence. This is the only reason I can sit in front of a little camera that's going to be available to millions of people that will basically say, wow, this is this crazy guy that thinks he can faith heal and do things that otherwise is completely not normal and doesn't follow any logic whatsoever. It's years of practicing and seeing consistent results. It was funny, I gave up the idea of religion once I started realizing that there are not thoughts, but realizations. Thoughts that become silence, that become realizations, that give you peace and affect the outside world. And I was like, wow, if there's something that actually causes movement, this even almost fits the definition of work, the mathematical physics definition of work, then why would I bother with thoughts that just don't do anything? So, like a belief system. I believe this will happen because I believe something when I die. Versus, funny enough, taking the same teachings and saying, wait, what if this guy's actually teaching you how to? I think he's actually teaching me how to forgive. I'm going to try practicing and applying it. Wow, it's actually working. I'm feeling peace. I'm able to receive insights that I couldn't receive before. I can even understand art. I'm a very logical person, but at some point I understood this idea of maybe there's this non-logical way to create things. You can apply logic to it and do technical things, but you can keep logic out of it and you can create cartoons. Just abstractions. So, but yeah, there's tons of benefits to forgiving. You can call it more solid ideas. So I'm semi-off topic here. So the group just thought that there was, they argued that, wow, there is no wrong way to do this. And I didn't say anything because I didn't want to cause a conflict. I mean, I'm not here to win anything. But you can't get around calling that the course, and you won't succeed in gaining anything until you practice. This is like for your own benefit too. Like even if you're on the side of there's no wrong way to do it. Well, yes, there is. I mean, if there's no wrong way to do it, here's a simple test. Anything will get you enlightened. So look around you. Everything that everybody's doing must get them enlightened. And that sounds very harsh and sarcastic. It is sarcastic, but I don't mean to be so harsh. There's only a few specific things that'll actually, okay, there's many specific things that will enlighten you, but they are still specific. So anyway, I hope this was informative. If I ranted too long compared to the length of the course.